welcome to Creativity Time with me, Tatiana, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Australia. I'm just making sure I've got the volume off, yes. Otherwise I can't see comments, and if I don't have something else to look at comments, I'll miss them. Well, I could read them later. Anyway, hello! Sorry, I'm home alone, the kids are at school, and just as I'm starting this live, some doors are creaking, and you know, it's one of those overcast kind of gloomy days, and it's just, I don't like the sound of that creaking. It's just freaked me out a little bit. But anyhow, I am here. I'm going to craft. Today I am going to use the, what's it called? Merriest Moments bundle, and that is in the July to December catalogue. I am very much about the Christmas cards at the moment. Christmas is fast approaching, term 4 has started for our kids, and you know, it's gonna go by quickly. It's crazy how quick this year has gone. Even though I am about the Christmas cards, I wanted to just briefly talk. So today, while I was driving the kids to school, I was listening to my radio station. I'm so special, I have my own radio station. No, I was listening to one of my favorite radio stations, ABC Classic FM. And I missed some of it, but I'm getting the gist that October is, let me get the right wording, I've written it down, Mental Health Month. So it's Mental Health Awareness Month here in Australia. And what was fascinating in the conversation that I heard this morning was that they were talking about connection. And obviously being Classic FM, they were talking about connection of music and connecting people. They quoted some study that showed that a lot of Australians are feeling quite lonely, and this was prior to the pandemic. Anyway, so there was an encouragement in that segment to think of someone that you haven't connected with in a while and to call them. And it doesn't have to be a big gesture. It doesn't have to be taking them out for dinner or whatever the restrictions are at the moment. It's just so challenging. But a phone call, a simple phone call, just to say, hey, how's it going? And I just really loved that idea. And I thought about what we do as card makers and the amazing opportunities we have to connect with someone to brighten their day, to just say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I know a phone call is a lot more instantaneous, but a card is something very tactile because, well, I mean, not because you know that a card is very tactile. It's something that this person can then put on display, and every time they see it, think of you and think of the connection. And one thing I have to say is that Stampin' Up really has that embedded in their core values, that creating is all about connecting with other people. And so I just really wanted to share that in the live today. And I know that mental health, Mental Health Month is in October, but I want to challenge everyone to extend that to all the time. We have amazing opportunities to connect with people near us, far from us, at any time with what we do. And Christmas cards, and this is how I'm linking it to the Christmas cards. Christmas cards are an amazing time of year to send connections. I really enjoy sending Christmas cards. I send a lot of Christmas cards. I was looking through my posts recently from last year, and I think last year I sent over, I think it was exactly 112 Christmas cards. I'm not suggesting that you need to do that scale of things, but make some Christmas cards and think about who you would like to send them to. Okay, having said all of that, I can see there's lots of comments and there are a lot of people watching, so let's flip the camera. And Christy has commented she loves the card making and that it helps with her depression and anxiety. And that's the other fun kind of flip to all of this, is that you are sending connection out to someone else, but in your creative process, you're also helping yourself. Isn't that just fabulous and so multifaceted that it's just, anyhow, let's take a look. I've got a plan in mind, and before I execute said plan, I wanted to bring this up in the catalogue. I was saying that this is available in the June. I cannot speak today. Nope, I've got the wrong page number in my head. So I'm just going to look it up. It is from the June to July mini catalogue and it's on page 43. And I'll bring that in. There we go. And this is the Merriest Moments bundle. It is a stamp set with a die set and embossing folder. So it comes, so when you buy the Merriest Frames Hybrid embossing folder, it comes with dies and the embossing folder. So you can't buy the embossing folder separately. It is very much a one for all kind of gig. I don't know what to say. And so this is the embossing folder, and Sarah Douglas has done a beautiful video showing you how the embossing folder coordinates with the die. It's called a hybrid because you can place this particular die and there. It kind of hooks in, links in, sits in right there, and then so you can emboss and die cut out that in one step. It's pretty neat. Just as so it's designed to have the die inside the embossing folder as you put it through the Stampin' Cut emboss machine. So pretty snazzy there. I will not be doing that because there's too many ideas running through my head. But what I want to do is do a wreath. I love wreaths. If you've followed me for a while, you know that I'm big on creating wreaths. And I thought it'd be a lot of fun to create a wreath. I haven't touched the stamp set yet, so this is exciting that I'm inking it up. So I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus. And I'll need one of the plates at least to start with. And then I've got my template, which is available for free on my blog, both for the A4 card maker and the letter or the US, North American market. And I'm going to start with, not the big, pulled it off now, haven't I? What attracted me to the stamp set though is the very graphic looking imagery. Don't you just love, I mean, I love this linear lines and yeah, and you get it all in one step. So no coloring if you're not into that or if you don't feel confident in that. And I'm just placing the first point, I think the poinsettias, I could be wrong. I'm placing that there. I have the foam mat underneath because this is a photopolymer stamp set. And you got the set but haven't used it. I am guilty of that with so many sets. Oh, just grabbing the second magnet. There we go. I'm going to put the second magnet there. And then I've got my piece of paper. So on my template, it tells you what size to cut your cardstock. And it sits right on top of that. And making sure you put your magnet out of the way. And I am going to I'm going to use something slightly different. I'm really loving the pinks and greens at the moment with the whimsy set. So I'm going to use Polish Pink. And where's my, I'm going to use my sleeve. I don't know where my trusty cloth is. No, Tanya. Sorry, nice try. Get one for attending tonight though. So if you join my Stamping Adventurers team, I have started a little bit of a team reward program, and all year long, so from the 1st of October to the 30th of September next year, they will be receiving little tickets. Ooh, sorry, a notification came through and I thought it was silenced. Let's silence that. Anyhow, and Tanya, who's part of my team, is asking, by watching this video, she gets a ticket. It's like, no, that's for team events. This is my personal stuff. So, as you can see, I'm moving my piece of paper around, and the template has them labeled, so you pick your corner. I generally pick what I started off with as the top left-hand corner, and then I rotate it to each of the numbers. Now I've got all 8 numbers. Generally I find, because this is the offset, so it doesn't do a full wreath, you don't need all 8, but I've put them in there just in case you would like to do something, or if you start at a different number. Maybe it would be better to remove. I'm always trying to see a way that I can improve this template. Whew. Felt like that was nerve-wracking with the ink on the edge. 6. Isn't that pretty? And because I want to keep this and create multiples, so this is where it's really handy to use your Stamparatus. Christmas time, I need a lot of cards, obviously, and the Stamparatus is brilliant in helping me stamp multiples. So during World Card Making Day, that was on the 2nd of October, I shared how I multiple stamped, I'll just bring them in quickly, these pine cones and leaves from another stamp set. So I did all the die cutting first, and then I did the stamping using the Stamparatus. It means that it was lined up perfectly each time, and I'm able to make lots and lots of cards at once. So because I want to keep that where it is so I can make some more of these cards after today, I'm going to take my, actually what I need is this. I need a mask. So this is about there. I'm going to just quickly stamp one more. So this is just a roll of, it's pretty much, what do you call it? Post-it note, but it's full backed sticky, and it's on a roll. So this is really good for masking, and I've been using it to create a mask as well. So, oh, I need 2. That's perfect. Need 2 so that we can add some greenery to our wreath without covering our beautiful flower. And I'm going to flip that, place this back into the first position, to number 1, and I'm going to quickly I'm going to fussy cut out this, and if I was to fussy cut out each individual leaf, then we would be here, well, as in they don't join per se, so I'm just creating as if a joint near the middle. And I'm also cutting a little bit away from the stamped image, because when I use even such a thin piece of paper, I have found that, actually with that logic, I'm just thinking of my logic, I should be cutting closer to the stamped image. I should be cutting on the stamped image to avoid any white gaps between the mask, which is what I'm cutting out, and the next round of stamping. But I want to have a little bit of a white gap and a bit extra, so that's why I am not cutting right on the stamped image. I could have also die cut these out perhaps, because there is a coordinating die but it's probably easier. And now, if I find the right placement, there. I'm going to place that one there, and the reason we need two is because we're going to be stamping greenery in between our flowers, and so I need to mask both flowers off. And what colour do we think for the greenery? I am thinking either, what do we call it? Just Jade or Coastal Cabana, which would be very bright, wouldn't it? What do we think? Let me know while I'm fussy cutting this out. So Michelle, hello and welcome. My template is available on my blog for free, this particular variation of it. And it's a PDF download, so you just head over to my blog, which is www.stamping.tatianacreative.com.au, and you'll find somewhere in my menu Stamparatus templates or my shop, and you have to check it out, but it's free. And then it's a printable version at home. And I do hope to create more templates in the future. The designing process, this one came kind of, I wouldn't say naturally, it kind of came out organically. It's probably the better word. And so the others have not come so organically. Anyway, we'll get there one day, hey? Okay, so I've masked those two off. And let's take a look. I was thinking this one, but maybe we're better off using something a little more wreathy, not wreathy, a little more greenery feeling. Let's go with that. And because I've flipped, I've got this one positioned right, I've got this one positioned right, and I can keep them. And don't forget, your Stamparatus comes with 2 stamping plates. So that means I could have 4 different images all set up and ready to go. And I'm going to go with, ooh, too many color choices. I'm going to go with Just Jade. Let's go with Just Jade. Yes, very happy with that. And so I've laminated mine so that if ink gets on it, I am not worried. You don't have to. You could just always print it again. And don't forget to move the mask each time you stamp. So this is a little time consuming, but trust me, well worth it. And then with the ink on the mask, you know where to place it. It makes it a lot easier. And the reason why I use the cloth is that it just allows me to press that ink in a little bit more gently than I was to use my fingers pressing down. Kind of allows me to do a rubbing action. And if I was just using my fingers, there's too much friction between my fingers and the stamping plate. So by using, it's just what's it called? One of those cleaning cloths. I keep this one particularly for the stamp room, so it's a bit inky. And it works beautifully. Okay. Now, and it's also good for removing ink off the plate. Now, I know I stop at 5, but we've got 6. And what I like to do is just double check that any of that impression, so 6 is completely missed, but if we move to 7 and then to 8, and this is the reason why I've kept all 8 steps, we can just double check, and again, that misses the page as well. So that is all cool. And now I'm going to reposition this back. Is it there? You can see the greenery, and I just want to fill that greenery in a bit more. So I'm going to reposition my masks to the first position again. That's what's the beauty of using something that's like a post-it note, is that it makes it fairly easy to do so. There we go. And pop that into spot number 1 again. And let's see. It's that one, or there's this beautiful with this one. Now, I know I'm putting it in a funny position right now, but it'll work. So again, removing the plate and popping down the next one to pick that up. And then making sure that without touching your magnets together, I have broken 2 magnets, the original 2 that came with my Stamparatus already. When they attach, they can smash, unfortunately. But good news is that we can buy replacement ones. Like that. Let's reposition this into number 2. Wiping that ink off, not because it's not safe there, it's just I can get my finger into it, or you know, and then I'm getting ink on my project where I don't want it. Now I have done wreaths where I'm not masking, and so it's a lot quicker. You can check out those videos on my blog. Sorry if I'm not chatting as much, it's because I'm concentrating. I'll get this right the first time. So, have you thought of someone who you could connect with and send a card to? Whether it's now in October during Mental Health Month or for Christmas. Have you thought of someone? I hope you're thinking while you're watching me craft away. I love the natural curve in this particular leaf. So that's 5. Let's just check, like I said before, in position 6. Aha, see? Position 6 would have some leaves showing through. Wipe the ink here and here. And let's check. I don't think position 8 is needed because we kind of started right there. Yep. So when you're doing masking, you always stamp the area that you want sitting on top first, and then the things behind, so that you can mask off the things that are closer to. So isn't that pretty? Now we need some more of these poinsettias, because I really love to create wreaths that are multiple dimensional. So I put up extra bits, die cut bits. I'm looking for Thank you, Tanya. I was looking for my chamois, and I'm going to grab the plate with the poinsettia, and we will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I'll do 6 just in case. And for that, just going to grab scraps of Whisper White and kind of make sure that they're in a spot where I can stamp them. Now, it would be a lot easier if I stamped these using just a block, but I don't want to remove its position off my Stamparatus, so this is the next best thing. Of course, you could do them first before you line up the Stamparatus. Generally, you need about 5 or 6 per offset wreath, depending on how big the image is. Cool. Oops, that moved. The only problem with laminating your template is that it's a lot slipperier. Slip slide, so things, even though I'm using the magnet, things tend to slip and slide a fair bit more. No, that's not going to fit there, but that will fit beautifully there. See what I mean? Like rubbing circular, whereas with your finger there's that friction. And hey, it comes in handy for cleaning. I've never done that before, believe it or not. And I wish I had thought of cleaning with it as well. That's actually 5 already, but I will do 1 more just in case, depending on what I end up doing. There. And I will use the chamois for the actual stamp. Okay, put that to one side. And so my Stamparatus is all set up for another go. And I'm going to grab this little bitty, itty bitty stamp, which is this one right here. And I'm going to do these in Mango Melody. Where is it? There it is. And we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 6 of them. And we will stamp these ones as well. Now, because, as you can see, the flower angle is kind of following around. So what I'm going to do is to pretend I've used the Stamparatus and line it up 1 and keep it, but twist the card as if I'm going around on the Stamparatus. It's not exactly in the same spot each flower, but it's roughly the same spot, so it looks uniform. And I don't think you can see the difference, but for me in person it made a world of difference to those flowers by adding those little centers in. And now we need the coordinating die, which is right here. Got that one, and for the little centers too. Now I could have stamped the centers in there, of course, but by stamping them separately and die cutting them, I'm giving myself slightly more work. However, it's also going to just produce a slightly different look and feel. Now I like to just take that moment to line up the die. I'm just using a little bit of washi tape to hold it into place. By just being patient for that little moment means that your dies will be lined up a lot more nicer. Hey Jody, how's it going? And I need my cutting plates. And there we go. Oh, don't rip my image. It is hard using washi tape on those little ones. So I'm going to place this one as so, this one here, so I can have both going through at the same time. Because I know I have 6 of each, so I don't want to run things through 12 times. 6 times is sufficient. Of course, if I had been more organized, I could have done the die cutting ahead of time and used my Stamparatus trick for stamping post die cutting. And the reason that is a lovely way of doing things is because when you die cut out first, and if you position things correctly on the Stamparatus, you will find that things are always beautifully aligned. So like that one is not quite as perfect as that one. The distance you're looking at it on the screen, it doesn't really matter. But those kind of little details matter to me when I craft. Perhaps I need to let go a little bit. But that is my crafting style. I took a pottery class, and it wasn't even a class, I just took some pottery. And I really struggled because it's a lot more freeing and non-exact, and I kind of like, I'm a numbers girl, I'm a spreadsheet kind of person as well, so I like having those exact measurements and positioning of things. Oh, what is... I thought I put do not disturb on, but clearly that's not working. Did that come through, that sound? Huh. I put a new ringtone on and I didn't even know. I've got 3 more to cut out. Oops. Oh, come on, stop with the notifications. And we need this one. So, oh, thank you. Thank you, Jodie. Hopefully that won't happen again. Two more to go. This is what happens when you do lives off the cuff. Some people are amazing. I'm always in awe for those who design a card ahead of time and then just show how to make it live. I can't do that. I wouldn't do lives if I did that, just simply because to design something ahead of time just does my head in. Puts too much pressure on me, and yeah. And then I often don't like to make, I'm talking about making multiples, but I often don't like making the same thing more than twice, or even twice. But at Christmas time, I often make multiples just because otherwise, if I made 100 unique Christmas cards. Could you imagine how much time that would take? Whew, that would be exhausting. Okay, last one, folks. I got that one lined up pretty quickly. Oops. Dokily. First thing we're going to do is we're going to adhere all the centers to our flowers. And I'm not happy with that one. That is completely... No, yes, we will. And my little trick for that is take your pick tool and use that to pick up the center bit and have your glue ready to, though I am right-handed, so using the glue left-handed is kind of scary. No, not scary, just a little more challenging. I could squeeze out too much glue in anticipation, so I'm just being cautious. But otherwise, handling little bits and gluing them can be quite challenging. And by using the take your pick tool, challenge averted. Oops, until it doesn't stick because you didn't put enough glue. The other option is to put the glue in the center there and then dropping it down. Oh, come on. So, to avoid the left hand challenges of gluing, that's if you're right-handed and you're trying to do two things right-handed, there's your other option. Probably a lot easier. There. Now, what I am going to do is, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'd like to trim this down just about by a centimetre so that it is smaller. Now, what I'll do is I'm trimming this side and this side, so those two edges that are more stamped. And I know that removes some of our wreath, but I want to keep the white space that's on the other two sides. So this was a 10 centimetre by 14.3 piece. It is now 9 centimetres by 13.3. And I would like to mount it on a little bit of, that one's a card base. So find a bit of, so I want to mount it just so with a little tiny border of, what's this one called? Polished pink. And so I am going to cut this, what did I say? It's at 9, so I'm going to cut it at 9.2. No, I'm going to go with 9.3. I like a 3mm difference, and that gives you a 1.5mm difference, 0.6 difference between the two pieces. So it's ever so slight, but it just gives you that nice little thin border. If you wanted it thinner than that, you focusing? There. If you wanted it thinner than that, you could cut it at 2mm difference. But I really like the 1.5mm. And let's, before I adhere that to that, let's put on our second lot of poinsettias. So I could have used a different color perhaps, but the idea is to place them in between the original two, and we will pop them up on dimensional. So I'm placing them now so that I can trim off the edges before I mount onto this cardstock, so that they're in line with the white, not with the petal pink. Now before I do that, I'm going to find and place all these poinsettias into the same direction by piling them on top of each other. Ooh. Like so. Cool. And now I'm going to flip and spread them across all in the same direction so that I can add dimensionals. No, this one's flipped. Gotta find, there. Now you don't have to do this extra detail point. This is totally just my quirk. I'm gonna flip and make sure, actually I'm gonna place these flowers lower down. So I'm going to do one lower down, one higher up, so that it's not exactly the same positioning, but similar. But I'm going to do that rotating trick I was talking about before when we were doing the stamping the centers. Am I making sense? Like, honestly, I make sense to myself. Actually, no. Do you know what? I'm going to place them all up. This one will need a dimensional more there and there because it'll be chopped. Where are the minis? There they are. There and there. And that one too. This one. Clear as mud. Okay. See, I have trouble with that. Mud is not clear. So how can I be clear as mud? I also don't like the saying house on fire. So could someone please explain now? What does clear as mud mean? Actually, by placing it a bit higher, we're covering up the gap, that spot there. Right there where the joint of the flowers and the... Oh, why is this not focusing? There. So by placing the flower there, we're covering that little... It's not an ugly spot, it's just not as pretty spot. And that is perfect. And so I just have a tiny bit of flowers to trim. That's the major one. There's a few petals on that one. Ho, ho, ho. There is our wreath. And the thing with this one, this wreath, is it can go this way, or you could flip it and do it this way. It doesn't really matter. Is this the funny? I've been having trouble with my glues lately. I use them for a bit and then all of a sudden they won't extract glue. Lining that up. Beautiful. And I'm trying to decide, do I want it this way or this way? I'm gonna go with this way. And I've got a Whisper White or Basic White card base just here. Just burnish that fold. Oh, glue spilling out. Actually, too much white for me. I mean, what do we think? Let me know. So, this is option 1. White. Option 2, so if you like option 1, which is the white, give me a thumbs up. If you think and this isn't cut properly, but if you think it'll look good on green or the Just Jade, give me a love heart. What do we think? Kind of liking the Just Jade. So option 1, thumbs up. Option 2, love heart. Just Jade. I am seeing lots of love hearts, so let's go with Just Jade. I have no idea what size that is, so I'm just going to cut. Plus, I like my cards to be top folding. The one thing I did prep for this live was the card base, which was so kind of funny. I'm seeing 2 thumbs up, but I'm going to go with Just Jade because I'm seeing a lot more hearts. So there we go. So this is all part of the creative process. You test and see what works. And it just brings out that Just Jade leaves that we stamped in the background a lot more. And then it's not too white either. Now, just for kicks, I'm going to put this up on dimensionals as well. And this is a good time to use the edge pieces. Never waste any of your dimensionals. You get a full sheet with, I think, 100 hexagons, but don't forget the edges, my friends, because they are fabulous for sticking larger areas of cardstock on dimensionals. Because otherwise I would want to put a lot more on here. Just gonna, and I don't cut them with my scissors, I just literally rip them. They rip apart fairly well. And then there's a lot less backings to peel because one long strip, well, not one long strip, but they're long strips of whoop, whoop. Now, the only thing I don't like about using dimensionals on such large sheets is that, just checking where the bottom is, the other day I placed a card upside down, is that there's no wiggle room. So you just gotta, not like the green glue that has some wiggle. Now we need a sentiment, and I don't think I did that straight. And that's going to annoy me. You have no idea how much that's going to annoy me. The downside of removing big strips of dimensionals is that it's a lot harder. So I'm just going to take the little paddle tool. And one thing I thought of after I stuck it down, and it wasn't straight, was that we could put it on an angle on purpose, and that way it doesn't matter. Oh gosh, some of the Just Jade is ripping. See, people, we all make mistakes. This is the reality of card making. Got some of the dimensionals sticking to the Just Jade, some staying on the petal, the polished pink. Oh boy. It's okay. Okay. Just gonna remove that one and that one and leave those two, or those three. And now I'm going to just purposefully angle that, and that way nobody knows if it's even or not, because it was put on an angle. Now we need a sentiment, don't we? We need a sentiment, and I always like to add something like a bow or something, but I'm really drawn to this season's greetings. that'll be beautiful. Yep, that's right, Jodie. Now, we're going to do that on another piece of cardstock, and we'll place that cardstock somewhere there or down here, even going off the edge there. I'm just trying to think what color. I'm tempted to do white heat embossing on the Just Jade. Is that the right wording? On a piece of Just Jade. I think I've got a good scrap there. Or we could do fussy cutting. Yes, let's do a fussy cut. I was thinking like a little ribbony thing, but let's do some fussy cutting. Okay, so I'm going to white heat emboss that on a piece of Just Jade to bring that colour in a bit more. I need the white. I need Versamark. And I need heat tool. We're almost done. Just going to move some of this mess. Who's a messy crafter? I can't seem to keep things tidy as I'm crafting. It's because I keep all the supplies that I've used out while I'm crafting, and then I tidy up at the end of the project. Maybe I should be putting things away, like use that ink pad, put it away. But then what if you need it again, and you know, all those what ifs. And then what if and then I always make a list of everything I've used, you know, for the purposes of the blog. And what if I miss something because it's not out on the table? Oh, I overthink things so much. Nobody's still explained to me clear as mud either. I'm being completely genuine here. My brain cannot understand that saying. Just heating up my heat tool. Beautiful. Now we're going to just fussy cut this out. Trying to keep the amount of Just Jade around the words fairly even. And if you need, snip off the bit that you've got and then keep going. You don't have to cut off the excess, the bits, all in one piece. It doesn't matter. And if you feel that you need to snip it off, do that. Okay, sorry, Tanya. Tanya has explained that clear as mud is not clear at all, which is what I suspected it meant, but I couldn't understand. Yeah, my brain works funny. Actually, I'm dyslexic, so I do see the world a little bit differently, and so my brain process is a bit different to non-dyslexic people, and I can't explain it. I'm sorry. Can't explain what I meant. Plus, I don't even remember now what I was talking about. There we go. Season greetings. And that needs something to kind of, well, we'll put it up on dimensionals. Don't you just love the mini dimensionals? That way you don't have to cut the big ones in half. I've done a few projects recently where I'm cutting the little ones in half. Oh boy. You know, and I think to myself, you're a little crazy for doing that. And we need a bit of bling. Yep, I like it there. And just that itty bitty bit of bling. And we also need to decorate the inside of the envelope, don't we? Well, inside of the card and the envelope. Oh, what am I saying? Okay, let's bring in the bling. Thinking, do I have anything that is Mango Melody-ish colour? No, but, oh, I've only got 2 yellow ones left. I was gonna say, these are the in colour jewels, and the yellow ones would have been perfect. Just to bring out that, so when picking your bling, it's sometimes really fun to pick a colour that's not so dominant in the project. In my case, the Mango Melody, and use that as the bling. If you do not have any Mango Melody bling, make some. I've got here the Mango Melody Stampin' Blend, and I am going to colour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I'm counting. And 5. There we go. So it just ties in that Mango Melody a bit more into the project. Now for the card base. I have run out of pre-cut card bases, or inserts. So just, thank you, Tanya. I'm going to quickly cut this and this. Oops. Well, it's not an oops. At least I cut it bigger than I needed. It's always bad when you cut smaller than you need, isn't it? And that'll go there. Let's see. Too simple. Let's stamp. What size are my inserts? I like to cut them 5 millimeters smaller than what our card front, so half the card base, I guess, so that there is a border around them. Particularly you see that across the bottom and 2 sides. So this is 10 centimeters wide by 14.3 centimeters. And I am going to stamp, where's the magnet? There it is. I'm going to stamp our flower on there. So that'll be inside the card, and I did bring the envelope. Here is our envelope. Let's stamp it on the front top left-hand corner. As so. Now that is the top left-hand corner of the front of the envelope. I just had to rotate it so that I could get it in the right, and it isn't stamping until you get some on your fingers, is it? I have managed to last this entire session without getting anything on my fingers. Look at the mess on my desk. But isn't that a happy mess? I'm just going to put that to the side, and we're going to stamp our little dots on the inside of those two just to kind of finish the flowers off. There. I know it's too far away for you to really see, but it does finish it off. And I'm going to remove those two. I keep losing things today. What am I saying? Not today. It's always, isn't it? It's not a crafting session with me unless I'm looking for something. And there we have it. And then, my friends, is my Christmas wreath card using the Merriest Moments. So, Merriest Moments wreath card. Something is preventing me from closing that properly. There. So there we have it. Thank you for the love. I'm seeing all that love. I really, truly appreciate that. Oh, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Look at the love. Well, thank you so much for joining me and spending some time with me creating. Just looking at some... we're on the 1 hour mark. Okay. So that took a little bit of time, but there was a little bit of faffing around and chit chatter. For those who missed the beginning, October is Mental Health Awareness Month, or Mental Health Month in Australia, and I put out a challenge there to connect with someone. You can listen to the beginning of the video to get the full story, but card making, as card makers, we have this beautiful way to connect with others. So I challenge you to think about who you can connect with in the rest of this year. It doesn't have to be daily or monthly or anything. And I gave the example that I really like to connect with people at Christmas time by sending a Christmas card. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in any of the products that I have showcased to you today, please reach out to me and I would be happy to help you. If you don't have a demonstrator in Australia already, if you're overseas, let me know and I might be able to find a demonstrator for you. Okay, bye for now.